Where do we start?
Well, I mean, did you see Atleti beat Girona 3-0? Because that's exactly where I want to start, my friend. 3-0. We killed them, bro. And what's crazy, they finished above us last year. So this is a little personal, this one. It was our home debut of the season in the Civitas Metropolitano. But, I mean, if I'm being real... the scoreline definitely flatters us. Like, this is actually a lot tighter than 3-0 suggests. I don't want to disrespect Girona because ultimately, defensively, they had a great game. Griezmann couldn't get into the match. Julian Alvarez, who makes his first start for Atletico, could not get into the game. And for the most part, our offense was pretty disjointed. It really was. The difference in this game was our difference makers. It was Griezmann off of a set piece, getting a really nice free kick. And we took advantage of a really bad goalkeeping performance of Gazzaniga because he ultimately had, couple of gaffes in this match. A really bad mistake that led to the set piece where he basically handles it outside the box. And then Llorente, another difference maker for us. He was immense when we won the title a couple of years ago. He's shown up this season so far. He scored an absolute rocket. An absolute rocket. Broke Gazzaniga's fingers. It looked like he roofs it, bro. But Gazzaniga probably should do better there, man. He probably should. The third goal was consolation as Girona were committed a lot men forward. So, yeah, it ends 3-0, but I don't know. Atleti's had a weird start to the season. I'm not surprised, though, right? This is why I wasn't saying, oh, Atleti's going to win the title. We're going to, beat Madrid. We're going to beat Barcelona. There's still a lot of questions left to be answered for this Atleti team. I will say, though, I think as the season progresses, we still have a lot of room to improve, and I see Atleti getting a nice stride, but we got to build to it.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. Conor Gallagher getting his chance to make an appearance for the I almost said national team. he plays like it is a national team, man. He wears his heart on his sleeve, making his appearance in front of the fans. But then also Koke getting a goal, man. That's something I don't usually see. Is Koke getting on the board here. Atletico Madrid defeating Girona 3-0. I will say for Girona, it was a little bit of the opposite. I think a big factor for why they lost today was the lack of difference makers in their own team, bro. Savio missing is such a big hole, dude. Such a big hole. He was such a key creator for this team that ultimately led them to that Champions League qualification last year. And then he would feed the ball off to Dovbyk, who was just absolutely killer in front of goal. Now you're missing two of your important three starters up top completely, dude. And I think that was a big missing part for Girona because they did possess the ball well, especially in that second half. They tried to impose themselves, but they just really couldn't beat one-on-one these Atletico Madrid defenders. They couldn't find a way to really create an opportunity, and I think it shows because Girona ultimately did lose a lot of good players in the transfer window, and it just worries me a little bit for what they're going to be able to do this year. I think for certain they won't be able to have the magical season that they had last year, but thinking about the fans, I don't think they're looking for that. I think they're looking for any sort of European qualification, be it Conference League, if you will, dude, because that will be seen as an achievement overall if Girona is able to qualify in 6th or 7th place in La Liga. So I think Atletico is the clear better team here, and it showed today.
But isn't that frustrating, man? Because I had the same thoughts watching this game because Girona were so fantastic with their difference makers last season. But you said two of them are gone. There's a third one gone too, Jan Couto, right? The really attack-minded fullback also gone, and it just really shows for Girona. But the reason why I say it's frustrating is because they're in the Champions League this year. Why not repurpose that money that you made over the summer? And they did a little bit. I don't want to say they've had a terrible offseason, right? They got Abel Ruiz as the direct replacement for Dovbyk. He's going to be fine. He's not, he's obviously not going to get Dovbyk numbers, but I think that's a good replacement. But why didn't they try to get more established wingers? They have the money to do it. Or maybe they don't, right? Maybe they just wanted to put it back into the club, say, all right, we got 1 year Champions League. Let's just try and build up our money, and maybe we'll be back here in 3 or 4 years. It's just frustrating, though, because I think this Girona side has a really good foundation. They have a good base. Their coach, Michel, has been fantastic for them. So I just think that if they had bought the right players this offseason, they could have been a little bit closer to the team that they had last year.
They definitely could have. I just think they end up being one of the few teams, honestly, that wasn't able to revamp themselves in the transfer window. That was a surprise appearance in the Champions League. I think they're similar to Bologna Bologna losing a lot of their players, and they just lost to Napoli today, 3-0. Same type of vibes over there.
Yeah.
I think they'll be happy to even be competitive in the Champions League. But teams like Leverkusen solidify themselves in the summer transfer window, and then a team like Aston Villa spent big as well as a surprise, or rather just the team you're not used to seeing qualify for the Champions League. Girona just isn't that team, I think, ultimately. They're not that type of institution right now, and it's going to end up hurting them in the long run. So as I mentioned, if they make Conference League, I think I'll be happy with that. We'll have to wait and see how they do in La Liga. But I also just want to give a quick shout out, Pablo Barrios. Best game I've seen him play.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's so solid for us. I'll just be curious to see where his career really goes. Yeah, he's just a solid midfielder. Can pass the ball. He's really quick with it. He's quicker than Koke now, especially since Koke is getting older. So I see Barrios being our starting midfielder every single game for the foreseeable future. What's really interesting is who is he going to be paired up with now? Because now it could be Koke, Rodrigo de Paul, or Conor Gallagher. There's actually a lot that Diego Simeone could play with. He could also change formation. Right now we're doing 2 in midfield the first 2 games. Simeone, last year we usually had 3 in midfield, and I could see him returning to that formation. That way he could play Barrios and maybe both De Paul and Gallagher, or maybe it's some sort of combination of Griezmann, Gallagher, and Barrios. But there's a lot that Simeone could play with in the midfield, but Barrios is definitely going to be one of our main guys.
I think so, man. Atletico, I mean, I will say the fans in the stands look so excited. They're hyped for this season.
Yeah.
They're hyped. The energy is super, super solid at home. So